A very good morning to one and all. I, Trupti Shripad Tagare, Assistant Professor from the Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering, Dayanand Sagar College of Engineering, Bengaluru, on behalf of the management, principal, and DSE family, extend a warm welcome to each and every one of you to this virtual webinar on My Story, a motivational session on successful entrepreneur. The webinar aims to extend the knowledge of individuals on how to become an entrepreneur, develop innovative skills, build a startup, and get motivated on hearing it from a person who dreamt, aimed, and is living the success of his successful startup. Dear participants, staff, and students, we are all privileged to have a well-known expert resource person, Mr. Vishal Adyantaya, co-founder of Metamorphic Solutions Private Limited, Mumbai, with us today. A very warm welcome to you, sir. I also welcome Dr. T.C. Manjunath, Professor and Head of ECE DAC. I also welcome all my dear colleagues and participants for joining us in virtually today. With the blessings of the Almighty, let's begin today's session. I request Dr. Shashiraj K, Assistant Professor, Department of ECE DAC, to introduce to us today's speaker, Mr. Vishal Adyantaya. So,
it's a very good morning to one and all present here. So it's my privilege to introduce you all the speaker for today's session, Mr. Vishal Ravi Adyantaya. He is the co-founder of Metamorphic Solution Private Limited. So Vishal sir completed his bachelor's in mechanical engineering in the year 1997. So he has around 24 years of experience in infrastructure engineering industry. He also served in digital transformation roles at GE Water and Process Bentley Systems. So in the year 2017, with a mission to deliver tangible outcomes and provide skills for successful digital transformation, Vishal sir and Atanu co-founded Metamorphic Solution Private Limited. So today, this Metamorphic Solution Private Limited has around 25 employees, the two engineers who serve the reputable clientele in several countries, namely US, Germany, Singapore, Korea, and India. So, sir, we are all really blessed to have you with us today for this session, and I am sure that all the participants are eagerly waiting for your session. I request you to start the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Shashi. Thank you, P, and thank you to all respected members of the Anand Cycle. And thank you to all the future leaders. Welcome to the seminar. I'm really glad I can share and make a difference in your life. So about me, Shashi sir has already explained. I'd like to add a few brief on how I started my journey. Brief agenda of what I will be covering today. In 1997, I passed out mechanical engineering. As you can see, I'm not an IT engineer by background, but that is what I'm doing right now. So that's the extent of the impact of IT in the everyday life of people. So my first, kind of interaction with a computer was during my school days. I was so excited. It was one computer shared among the entire members of the school. We used to look at it from outside, and now today we have mobile phones which are more powerful than the best supercomputer available at that time. So that journey has been so fast and so VUCA in nature. It's so disruptive, and it requires people who are very innovative, very on their feet, and who want to bring a change in this world. So this is all about that. I would like to cover my journey or the points which we went through and saw during our journey and share it with you. Just to give an example of what we work with, you can see that as of today, large infrastructure projects are shared over net in 3D. So I have been working with such OEMs and provider of the software. We implement and customize these services. Information and construction details are now shared not just over the web, they can be directly printed out in 3D. With a mission to achieve these goals for the engineering industry, like to bring that technology in India, me and my colleagues founded Metamorphic in 2017, where we found that by working with different EPCMs and construction companies like L&T, there was a gap in the way these projects were implemented, and there was a need for skills which we thought we can build a space over time. So in 2017, after successfully completing the digital transformation for GE Water, and what I saw that the CMD of my previous company, which is Bentley Systems. So you must have heard of like softwares like STAD, AutoCAD. So these are companies which have actually been pioneers in delivering such softwares for engineers, reducing time for engineers to do production right from concept to commissioning. It gives you the whole variety of softwares. Now, during doing this implementation, there was a lot of people who used to say, the software will not do this will not happen, that will not happen. There was gaps everywhere. So that's where we saw the opportunity that our skills would actually make a difference in this world. And that's what entrepreneurship is all about, taking risk, being the change you wish to see in the world. So with that background, let me quickly walk you through what we have learned, or I have learned during this journey. In 2019, in 2017, we started Metamorphic with 2 people. We were doubling the count and the revenue every year. In 2019, we were recognized by Silicon India, one of the magazines which actually writes about startups, as the one of the top 10 startups in 2019. So what do? We work with Siemens, Bentley Systems, you saw that, BPCL, Tinplate, and many much such renowned industries. And some of our works you can see in the background with snapshots. Now let's talk about startups. So the government of India defines startups as an entity less than 7 years old, and it should have a turnover less than 250 billion. Now, these figures might look big, but believe me, the kind of investment which is required to run a company, it takes a substantial effort. So you must have heard of these names like Atomberg, Ola, Byju's, Paytm. So these are some of the few startups which are there in the industry. Now, quick facts about micro, small, and medium scale industries. They are one of the major contributors in contributing 30.27% of India's GDP. When we started up, we used to think, how can we compete with this big, industries, leaders? Will it be feasible for us? And believe me, we actually did work for Tata, where there was a competition from Tata itself. So every people require micro, small, medium industry. Or not all projects are, viable for big people. So they need this economy of small and medium scale industry to be able to deliver, smaller scale projects. So that's where there's an opportunity to start. And as much as there is a need for you to have a big client, big clients need small MSME to do work for them. That's our experience in this 4 to 5 years. So the count, there are around 63.39 million startups. And the next point talks about, you can start anywhere. So most of the startups are like traders. They take it from manufacturers and do the after sales and services and for these products. Another fact is like 2,363 billion USD funding received by India in the last 5 years. 34 unicorns in 5 years created by India. So the talent for startup, and Bangalore, I don't have to tell you, Bangalore is the hub of startups. Now, who drives these startups? It's the entrepreneur. Now, what's the difference? Is an entrepreneur different from what any of the employees does? I used to be an employee. The difference is the ability to take risk to achieve goals. You would do it when people say that, okay, it can't be done, or this may fail. but you have conviction, you take personal risk, and then achieve those goals. I would describe entrepreneur as such a person. I used to hear during transformation journey in GE Water, this will not work, this software is not good. But then we made it happen. And we made savings up to like 20 to 30% in, resource time and savings in materials and all that. So it was doable. You just needed one person who could lead and make it happen. So entrepreneurs are risk takers. They are inclusive. You cannot achieve big goals alone, but your passion and drives others. So they are good motivators. They are customer focused. Finally, your work is actually, or you can say money is a representation of the work you do. It's acknowledged by your customer. So the people who are customer focused and have integrity, they build trust, are the people who make great brands. You have to be a team player. You have to know when to follow, right? There are times when you are not the expert. You reach out to expert, ask for help. Adaptable and flexible. You will not succeed every time. We had so many hiccups. We had to, we did estimates which went wrong, but we went and took the decision of completing our projects. That's what created name for us. You have to take those decisions. It has to be action oriented. You have to remove obstacles for your team. It's all about motivating them. Show agility and winning attitude. As much as customer focus is required, you are responsible to achieve the targets. The salaries of the people are paid by the entrepreneur, right? The business. You have to make your numbers. It cannot just be give. It has to be a give and take. So you have to have a winning attitude and continuously learn and innovate. As a startup, the learning curve is huge. You get into projects, you realize that things are going wrong, not in your way. There are better ways to do it. You start implementing it. You percolate and create the team which can make the difference. Now, just to give an example, what kind of decision making goes into being an entrepreneur. Like you have to spend money. Like we had a project, we had to spend money to get inputs for designing a car. Where would I like to spend this money? Would it be a car dealer, a garage mechanic, a personal car owner, or a taxi driver? After a lot of ideation and design thinking, we realized that the maximum time a person spends in the car is a taxi driver. It was not the most intuitive decision to take, but we did that. So, you have to think innovative, disruptive. Another, there was a pandemic which hit us. So the order count went down. What do? Someone comes and offers you a job with zero margin. Will you take it? Reject it? You say, no, let me, invest my time doing marketing, or you would reduce your headcount. As an entrepreneur, it would make sense to take that order. You have to meet your expenses, keep the business running. So it's not always about, making your numbers. It's also about survival and sustainable. So let's look at when is a good time to, start an entrepreneur. So more than 50% I meet, I talk, even myself, I took a lot of time to become and jump into the field of business. There was a lot of reluctance to start, and it's rightfully so. I'll talk about that in the coming slides. But is there an age to start? No, there's no such age barrier. In age of 21, Michael Dell started. Similarly, you have Raina Huffington, who right now, she started Huffington Post in the age of 66. So there's no age to start a company. You can start anywhere. Motorola, for example, started in a garage, and the people who got together did not know what product they would make. So you don't have to have a big design idea to start. You can start anywhere. So disruptive ideas are important in terms of getting funding, in terms of growing. but they can come later, right? As I told you earlier, so trading, after sales, you can take products from innovators and distribute it, increase their reach. So you can become part of the ecosystem. Now we talked about, 50% of the people don't start. So rightly so. So as per Gartner's survey, 45% of the startups make it. Now, and why generally do they fail? Let's look at those. It's very easy to get into a thought process where you see your product or what you have designed is the best thing. Many times we feel that we'll invest money and make a product and then take it to the market. 42% of the people, of the startups fail because of the product which they make has no market demand. Either there's a competitive product already there, or you made something which is not the need of the industry. So you have to be very much in touch with your clients. You have to reach out. Now, given that the first thing is obvious, I mean, you have to go and reach out with the marketing team and spend on marketing to understand whether what you are going to make, sells. What could be the next phase? I'll talk about this a little more. We have gone through this cycle a lot. Most of the 29% of your startups ran out of money, right? Cash flow. Salaries are important. Inability to grow. So again, I'll talk about this in the coming slides more. Existing competition. Big companies try to kill each other. You can see Amazon and Jio, fighting over, who will take that space. Poor productivity. Lack of good business model. Business model is basically having a moat, being able to grow, continuously grow and add more revenues for your company. So that brings us what makes you successful as an entrepreneur. For me, the most important part is actually the cash flow. Without salaries and without being able to, get the money in, that counts for many things, being able to do your project on time. There's so many things, but without cash flow, everything stops. So that according to me is the most important job of the entrepreneur. Keeping an eye on the cash flow, getting people, getting funding at time, and do it with integrity. You have to build trust with everyone. Everyone has to win in the bargain. The next part is driving marketing business plan. So you should have a clear vision. You have to meet your bottom lines. Seek a business model over time. I told you can start anyway, but keep improving on it. Build a business model over time. Oversee your finance record and tax compliance and legal compliances. So you have to keep an eye on it. Many of the startups will land up into trouble because they are doing their work, but they forget to maintain their compliances and records correctly. Lead the way when no one will. You have to take decisions. Many times we do it for the sake of learning. Maybe we may not gain from this particular project, but the upcoming projects, give the way for you to be the leader in that industry. Take the risk. You have to take the decision for your team. Now, advantages and pitfalls of starting here. I feel, I always feel that, okay, if I would have started younger, I would have done things differently. The way I would have started this company would be different. In fact, I come from a business family. And one of the reasons I went for the job is because I was not convinced with the business model of my parents' company. So, but I still feel starting young, you have advantages. You have time to grow your business. You have a better risk tolerance. The amount of commitment which you have increases with your age. The more your age rises, you have commitments besides your startup or your work. So younger, you are more risk tolerant. You are more flexible and adaptable to change. So I see young children, falling up. They don't even try to get up and start, doing their stuff again. But when I see many professionals, they feel so bad of having made a mistake and stuff. Young children are so innocent. They just go and do things. So young people have that advantage. They can make mistakes. They are okay with making mistakes. They have a fresh and new approach. The ideas, many of the disruptive ideas have come from young talents. In my career, I've seen it is generally the young talent who comes up with an idea which is quickly picked up by others. So young people have that fresh ideas and new approach. They can multitask better. There are disadvantages too. Again, as per a renowned survey, young people are twice more likely to fail. Why? So my advice is to take help in these areas. Market experience. The product you are trying to make, is it something which the market requires? You have to validate that. And that can be done by an experienced person or someone who is a user of that product. So reach out. Compliance, tax, legal, and labor. We are engineers, but we may not know about these domains. Again, reach out to professionals for this. Managing cash. This is where utmost important. I've been kept highlighting this. You have to keep an eye on whether you can pay the next salary or not. Sales, because that is where your income comes from. A thumb rule is your business should make twice the interest you would pay a bank. You would pay at least the amount which you pay for a bank, right? So sales is very important. Now, when you start up, what are the initial decision making you have to do? Now, how will you fund your business? We'll come to that point in the coming slides. What kind of enterprise do you want to make? Proprietor, partnership? That's the easiest to do. LLP and private limited, you have a lot of compliance. Private limited is the most recommended, given the transparency and the ability to grow. Which sector do you want to serve? So generally, you have to make a choice. Would you go for high quantity with low margins? Or would you like to be in a niche sector with high margins? Of course, where is the capital cost involved more? It's more generally in the high quantity growth. You have to invest a lot in the manufacturing technology sense. So niche area, the margin will be high. So we actually chose that approach. Okay. So which skills do you need? Technical versus commercial. So good entrepreneurs learn to do the hand thing. You need both the skills. So it has to be a good mix of technical and commercial skills. So go and team up with people who are different from you in terms of skills. So that's what we have done, right? I am a technical guy, where Atanu is, and Nitin, we have another co-founder too, who joined us a little later. So they are from the commercial backgrounds. So just completing the work, you should have the next work ready. Then growth, change orbits. What gets you to one phase is you have to learn and adapt to get into the next phase. So be ready for the change. Be the change you want. Now the last point is very important. You'll be tempted to work with people. We took very careful decisions that who would be our investors, because many times people take investments from people who are invested in similar kind of businesses. They may not be the people who want your best interest. They would probably want to see what you are doing so that they can implement it on the other place. Similarly, clients, if they want you to grow, they will make sure that you are paid on time. So these are some very important decisions to make. Now coming to funding of your startup, 77% of the startups are bootstraps. We are one of those, bootstrap. We are experienced people. We have used the savings to do the startup, and it's doing well. You can reach out for a government scheme under Startup and Digital India. You can participate in hackathons, give your ideas. They have there you could find seed investors who can help you to validate your ideas. You could go for crowdfunding. This is one of the good ways where you take little money from many people, bank loans, and then when so these are different ways of which you can start up. Going to a venture capitalist may be good, but he would have a lot of stay. He would try to get a lot of say in what you do. So generally, his advices are counterproductive to what you want to achieve. So be careful again in what kind of investors you choose and clienteles. Now the trending technologies where we would want to be to. We are in some of these areas. Cloud, it has become the way of doing business today. I see that there is a new, C-level post, which is combination of your operations and technology. Today, technology has become the way of doing business, and cloud has opened up so much avenues of doing collaborative work. Things which you can literally work from anywhere. I'm pretty amazed, and I'm the best promoter. I'm just love the cloud technology. So that's the space you have to be in. According to me, you can't do without it. Data science. There's so much data locked with the existing users, and you have to unlock it. There, in finance, you have seen. You see it in asset performance management, which what we do, predicting when the failures would happen. Imaging, image recognition. We have softwares which convert 2D into 3D using photogrammetry. Now this happens so fast. Earlier, it used to take months, even years to do that. IoT is another area. Medical healthcare is one of the best area where it has been leveraged. Monitoring monitoring things remotely, surveillance, AI pattern recognition, analytics. We are trying to use that to understand drawings, augmented reality and virtual reality. You can have meetings, feel of your products, and actually using the headsets even before it is actually put into production. It saves so much money. It's amazing. All this has actually, exposed a lot of data to the internet. So cybersecurity is also a very big area, one of the growing areas, and the need for it is I can't emphasize more. Drone robotics. You have seen drone deliveries. We use drones for remote sensing. To take capturing a whole area. So you can see this one. So this particular area was totally captured with drone, and then this metro station was designed on top of it. Actually, there is an area below it where tunneling is done and stuff. So again, all this manufacturing has become more productive because of technology. And then you have in Industry 4.0 blockchain technology. Industry 4.0 is where you have smart devices which can help you do manufacturing in a more efficient way. So Nokia is investing, Nokia, Emerson's, they are investing big time into this Industry 4.0. And an upcoming field is quantum computing. So these were some points from you. Of course, you would have more ideas of others too. Now going to the timing, do you feel it's a good time to start up? So this slide talks about that. Historically, India has been a beneficiary of global crisis. So we are just coming out of a crisis, and I feel this is a good time. But yeah, you can have different views, but yes. So historically, India has benefited from global crisis. Work starts moving in India. Labor is more easily available. You have financing which is available. Then another example, another is from Gartner's, which we come to know that China, everyone knows that, for is losing FDI, foreign business. So India is the preferred destination in some of the areas. And we could take advantage of that. One of the main reasons is we have a very good English speaking skill set. Ease of doing business in India, that's getting better every year. So it's improving every year. When we started, we had so many, taxations which we had to deal with. Then we had GST coming in just end of 2017. Things started getting much and much easier for us. So I can vouch for that. We had the outcry which went away and stuff. The government is encouraging. There's a lot of government encouragement. Startup India, Digital India. Using this, actually, you could actually take advantages of that. We are part of Startup India. Next slide, we'll talk about it. So this is this is Startup India. So what does this offer? When you have the Startup India tag, you get a tax exemption for 3 years, first 3 years. You have a lot of benefits. We had issues, for example, when we didn't have this tag to take up some kinds of order, because the revenue which you make, people kind of look at that before giving you orders. But if you are part of Startup India, there is a government, backing to it. People allow you to go with lesser qualifications. So this helps over here. There are other benefits like, procurement norms. And as I said, 44% of the startup only make it. You have faster exits for startups. And there are various other schemes for startups. Similarly, you have this MSME, Udyog Aadhar. So micro, small and medium enterprise, right? So this allows you to take collateral free bank loans. Although this was not the reason why we went for this. This is one of the key benefits. Then there are exceptions from interest rate, and you have an additional overdraft facility which comes with you being an MSME. Now, the major benefit which we saw was it opens up the government, the PSUs for you. You are able to register into the PSU as an MSME, and all the different, the companies and organizations, they have a mandate to settle your dues in 45 days. I think that is the major benefit of being an MSME. The companies have to give out a report, saying that, whether you have settled the dues or not. So can't emphasize more on cash flow. So this helps you in the maintaining your cash flow in a way. So these are some of the points which we went through, we experienced during our journey, which I would like to share with you. With this, we are into the last 10 minutes. So Dr. Shashi, I would be open for questions.
Sure.
Yes. Yes, sir. Thank you. It was a wonderful talk, inspiring one and motivating one. Let's go towards the question answer session now. I request students to raise their hand so that I can unmute them and they can ask their questions. I just hope you're able to see your raise your hand option. Any questions?
Either I was too clear.
Yeah, and they have no questions. I have unmuted. You have the option to unmute yourself for students. If you want to ask any questions, you're free to do that. Any doubts, anything that you want to ask? Okay. Chandrasekhar sir, you want to say anything? You want to have any discussion with Mr. Vishal? Okay, looks like, yeah, we have. Please, can you be a little louder? We're not able to hear you. I think lost the connection. Yes, any students have anything to ask? You want to have your startup, so what all you need? Sir has already explained it at length. Any more questions you have? He's here to help you out. Okay. So looks like they have no questions to you, sir. Thank you so much, Mr. Vishal, for accepting this invitation and helping us make our students get motivated and have their own startups. I think everyone here who are present for your session today, they will take it up as a challenge and come up with their startup soon. And
All the best to.
yeah, so thank you so much. Anything thing that you want to share, sir? Anything you want to say about it, or any last few points that you want to make them remember and take it as a takeaway from this particular session?
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's not an easy journey for sure. I mean, you have
Correct.
to be on it 24/7, but you know, you have to keep an eye on your health and your personal life also. So make sure that you make time for exercising, make time to spend time with your family. I think business can bounce back.
Mm.
These are few things which are not covered in the slides, but very important. Uh, there's nothing is that important. Things can wait. Clients are generally open to discussing and going back and saying that okay, the project will take some more time. So don't shy away from talking and adjusting your project schedules. I think people appreciate that upfront. The more the visibility, the more the transparency you keep with everyone, the more easier it would be for you.
Yes.
So those are few personal points which I think I should have covered.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing all this with us today. The way you have explained about when to start it, how to start it, and what are the current technology trends also. So I think almost the concepts that our students need, and even they have it as a part of their curriculum here as management and entrepreneurship in 5th semester. So I think you have covered most of the syllabus also for them today. I know that they are going to be very happy and we will be receiving their feedback, which we will be sharing with you, sir. So thank you so much again for accepting our invitation and motivating my students. I, on behalf of the department and organizers, also thank our beloved principal, Dr. CPS Prakash, for extending continuous support in organizing such events. I heartily thank Dr. T.C. Manjunath, the man behind steering all these activities, our head of the department. I also thank my organizing team, Dr. Shashiraj K. and Professor Dhruv Kumar S. for their support. And last but not the least, I think thank each and everyone who have directly or indirectly helped us in making this workshop, the webinar, a successful one. Thank you one and all. Thank you. The webinar, the feedback and the quiz link will be shared to you in the chat box. Within 10 minutes, you have to answer it, and you will be getting your e-certificates if you have answered all the questions correctly. Have a nice day. Stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am.